I spent 26 years underground, building a future brick by brick. I thought I had it all: a home, a wife who said she missed me when I was away, a life built on trust. But one message shattered everything. While I was sweating it out in the mines of Alice Springs, she was emptying our bank accounts, forging my signature, and planning a new life with a man half my age. A man who, it turns out, had already destroyed 3 women before her. I didn't just lose money. I lost the belief that loyalty meant anything to her. But you know what I didn't lose? My mind. My future. My fight. Because while they were plotting, I had already prepared. When the dust finally settled, I didn't just survive, I won. And they never saw it coming. If you think betrayal is the end, you're wrong. Sometimes, it's just the beginning of the best chapter you'll ever write. Stick around, I'll show you exactly how I turned rock bottom into solid ground. Before we dig into the story, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to listen to a man who's been through the fire and made it out the other side. I know there are a lot of voices out there you could be listening to right now. The fact that you chose to spend a few minutes with me? It means more than you know. This isn't just another story about heartbreak or betrayal. It's a story about survival. About standing your ground when the world tries to knock you down. About rebuilding a life when the people you trusted most try to tear it apart. If you've ever been through something that made you question everything, you're in the right place. And if you haven't yet, one day, you might. And when that day comes, maybe something from my journey will help you find your footing. So grab a seat, settle in, because this story isn't pretty. But it's real. And sometimes, that's exactly what we need. Let's get into it. The message lit up my phone at 2:30 a.m., just as I stepped off another grueling shift at the copper mine outside Alice Springs, Australia. I'm done, Nick. I'm moving to Gold Coast with my 27-year-old boyfriend. And yes, I'm taking everything, it read. I'm Nick Sanders, 50 years old, with 26 years spent working in some of the toughest mines across Australia. My boots were still caked with red dust when I opened that text from Marissa, my wife of nearly 2 decades. I stood under the flickering light outside the workers' barracks, rereading the words while the dry desert wind whipped past me. Then another ping, a screenshot of our shared account. Where there should have been $168,000 gone. Just an empty line of zeros. She even added a winking emoji, like it was some sort of joke. I didn't throw my phone. I didn't scream. I just typed back, "Good luck." Then I switched off the screen and headed for the showers. Next morning, the blokes noticed something was off when I skipped breakfast and buried myself in gear checks. Pete, my lead mechanic, shot me a few glances but kept quiet. Out here, personal business stayed personal. We had a mine shaft to keep safe, and 45 men depending on us. No room for pity. During a rare lunch break, I checked my email. There it was. Marissa had filed for divorce, claiming abandonment because I worked away for months at a time. Her lawyer was already demanding spousal support based on excessive income. And just for an extra kick in the teeth, her new partner had moved into our home in Darwin. I closed the laptop calmly. No point raging in the middle of nowhere. That night, I sent one message, not to Marissa, but to my cousin, Owen, a financial planner in Brisbane. "Code black," I wrote. Owen replied instantly, "Understood. Sit tight till you're back." 2 more brutal weeks underground. 2 weeks while everything I'd built crumbled back home. Could have asked for emergency leave, but why? Better to finish strong, collect my pay, and deal with the wreckage later. As I lay in my bunk that night, the site supervisor, Big Joe, stuck his head in. "You all right, mate?" he asked. I nodded. "Still standing," I said. And I was. More than Marissa would ever understand. We got married just 11 months after we met. Fast? Maybe. But back then, it felt like the only thing that made sense. By then, I'd already built a solid life, paid off a house in Darwin thanks to a smart investment in a mining startup that got bought out, and had a clear career path working international copper sites. Marissa said she admired my stability, my drive. I admired her fire, the way she could light up any room, talk to anyone without trying too hard. The toughest part was always my roster: 6 weeks underground, 3 weeks home. That rhythm ruled our lives for years. But the pay was unbeatable. What I made in half a year could set us up better than most blokes made in a lifetime of 9 to 5. We agreed. I'd chase the work, she'd build our life back home. By year 13, the cracks started showing. Small at first. Little sighs when I missed her birthday dinner. Questions about whether I really needed to take that long job up near Mount Isa. Comments about how Megan's husband was always home in time to mow the lawn or host a barbecue. I brushed it off. Figured it was the usual wear and tear of a marriage stretched thin by distance. But the year I turned 47, Marissa stopped asking when I'd be back. Stopped sending the little photos, the garden she planted, the new cafe she found. Our video calls got shorter. Sharper. I told myself it was just routine settling in. Familiarity. Stability. Last Christmas, I came home to a house I barely recognized. New paint. New furniture. New kitchen. No warning. When I asked, she just shrugged. I needed a change. I didn't ask what else she thought needed changing. Maybe I should have. 2 months back, I noticed a few strange transfers from our account, names I didn't recognize. House maintenance, she said. Foundation work. Plumbing repairs. Before this last rotation, I swung by home before heading back out to the mine. The place looked untouched. No scaffolding. No tools. Just a slick black Audi parked in the driveway. Not ours. 4 weeks ago, the calls stopped. Texts only, busy. Talk later. I almost booked an early flight home. Almost. 3 days ago, Harold, our neighbor for 15 years, sent a photo, a moving truck parked outside. No caption. Just, thought you should see this. I said nothing. Sometimes a man learns more by waiting. The day after Marissa's final text, I finished my shift and trudged back to the bunkhouse. The satellite phone rang. Owen's voice came through, tense. You sitting down? Just tell me, I said. He didn't sugarcoat it. She's been at this for over 14 months, Owen said, his voice like gravel through the satellite line. Regular transfers to a second account under her maiden name. Started small, $2,000 here, $3,000 there. I leaned back against the bunk wall, feeling the heat of the day still trapped inside the thin metal walls. Then it ramped up fast, Owen continued. Bigger chunks the last 3 months. In total, she's moved $214,000. Not just the $168,000 from your joint account. For a second, the room felt like it was tilting sideways. That was far more than what I thought we even had sitting in savings. And there's more, Owen said, his tone dropping. She changed the beneficiary on your life insurance 6 months ago. Replaced your name with her sister's. I clenched my jaw so tight it ached. And she took out a $40,000 line of credit against the Darwin house, Owen added. Forged your signature on the paperwork. I've got copies. I sat forward, elbows on my knees, listening to the hum of the mining generators rumbling faintly in the background. 18 years. Nearly 2 decades of building a life together, and all this time, she'd been chipping away at it, preparing for her exit like a thief setting charges under a bridge. The guy? I asked finally, voice rough. Travis Blake, Owen said. 27. Ex-personal trainer. No steady work for the last few years. I closed my eyes. I already knew the rest. 3 past relationships, Owen added, all with women over 40. Each one lasted about 16 months before he bailed. A pattern clear as day. And then Owen's voice dropped even lower. She bought 2 one-way tickets to Gold Coast. Departure next Wednesday. 3 days from now. Marissa wasn't just leaving me, she was vanishing, trying to pull the whole damn rug out before I could even touch down. I hung up and just sat there in the dark. Didn't turn the lights on. Didn't move. Just sat. Watching memories reorder themselves into something sharper, crueler. The sudden business trips. The obsession with boot camp workouts. The quiet resentment when I sent money home. It wasn't the betrayal that broke me. It was the patience. The planning. Something inside me hardened. The grief froze into something colder. I got up, grabbed my laptop from the footlocker, and logged into the private email Owen and I had set up 8 years ago. Opened Winterlight Holdings, named after my grandmother's creek back home. The balance blinked onto the screen, $1.6 million. 8 years of mining pay stashed away, untouched. Waiting. Legal. Declare on my taxes. But completely separated from our marital assets, tucked away behind the corporate structure Owen had built for me years ago. I sent one short email to my lawyer back in Brisbane. Proceed with Operation Cold Return. Then I snapped the laptop shut and headed to the mess hall. First time in days I actually felt hungry. I touched down in Brisbane 38 hours after my shift ended, boots still dusted red from the desert. Owen was waiting at arrivals, no smile, just a nod. He handed me a burner phone and a thick folder. She's been blowing up your regular number for the last 24 hours, he said as we walked toward Azuda. The bank froze the account she tried to move the money into. Standard practice when they see large suspicious transfers. They need you to come verify in person. He gave a thin smile. She has no idea you're back. No one did. Except Owen. And Marcus, my lawyer. But that's not the juiciest part, Owen said, pulling out his tablet. He flipped through some files, then handed it over. Text messages. Between Marissa and someone saved in her phone as T. I scanned them. Plans for their new life on the Gold Coast. Jokes about me sweating underground while they spent my paychecks. Details about a house they'd already paid deposit money on. But one conversation from 2 days ago made me pause. Marissa, bank froze the transfer. Need Nick to verify in person. What do we do? T, he's still stuck at the mine for another week, right? Tell him your mom's sick. Get him to sign something remotely. Marissa, he's not answering. T, try harder. We need that cash before settlement day. Or Plan B. Marissa, I'm not comfortable with Plan B. T, it's just insurance money. Underground mining's risky. Accidents happen every day. I handed the tablet back to Owen. My hands were steady but cold. These admissible? I asked. All pulled from her cloud backup, Owen nodded. She set up her new phone using your old Apple ID. Never changed the password. Everything syncs automatically. We drove straight to Marcus's office downtown. He had everything ready, divorce filings, criminal complaint for the forged home loan, and an emergency injunction to lock down all assets. But Marcus didn't look relieved. There's a wrinkle, he said, sliding a document across the desk. She filed a domestic violence claim against you yesterday. Claims ongoing emotional abuse and financial control. Says she's afraid for her life. That's ridiculous, I said. I've been 8,000 miles away for the past 7 weeks. Marcus just gave a grim nod. Doesn't matter. It's a tactic, grab sympathy with the court, try to lock down assets, and get a restraining order. Her lawyer filed for an emergency hearing tomorrow to block you from your own house. So she wants to ban me from my own property while her boy toy lounges there? Marcus slid another document across the desk. And it gets worse. That $40,000 home equity loan she pulled? Already gone. Transferred into an LLC registered to Travis Blake 3 days after it hit her account. I exhaled slowly. Options? We counter immediately, Marcus said. Fraud. Forgery. Conspiracy. Alienation of affection thanks to those text messages. He pushed a thick packet of documents toward me. And this motion to dismiss her domestic violence claim on grounds of perjury. I looked up. What evidence do we have? Marcus gave a tight smile. Your location data. Company security badge scans show you haven't left the mine site for 7 straight weeks. Your passport no stamps in or out. And your phone records? 0 threatening calls or abusive messages. Nothing but boring logistics. I signed every page he pointed to. One more thing, Marcus said, leaning back in his chair. We need you to stay invisible a little longer. She can't know you're back yet. For now, you're still officially out on site. I nodded. Easy. Leaving Marcus's office, I felt lighter than I had in months. My regular phone buzzed. A text from Marissa. Please call me. It's an emergency. I need you. I smiled without humor and slipped the phone back into my pocket. The trap was already closing, but it wasn't hers anymore. That night, I stayed at Owen's place, slept like a stone. Next morning, after a strong coffee, I logged into the home security feed I'd set up years ago. Marissa must have forgotten it even existed or thought I couldn't reach it from overseas. The live footage loaded. There he was. Travis Blake, sprawled out by the pool. Drinking from my private whiskey stash. Wearing my old Wallabies rugby jumper like he owned the place. Laughing into my phone. Feet up on the outdoor furniture I'd built myself in a dusty Darwin summer. Then Marissa came into frame, pacing back and forth, her face tight with nerves. Even without sound, the desperation was obvious. Coffee? Owen said, handing me a mug. I took it, eyes still glued to the screen. You need to see this, Owen said, flipping open his laptop. He'd stayed up half the night digging deeper into Travis Blake's background. What he found changed everything. He's done this before, Owen said grimly, turning the screen toward me. 3 times. Same blueprint every time. Meets a woman always married, always financially stable. Builds a relationship. Encourages her to leave her husband taking as much money as she can. They relocate. Within 18 months, he disappears with whatever's left. On the screen, news clippings, court filings, screenshots from old Facebook accounts. 3 women. 5 years. All left behind, financially wrecked. One woman still paying off $70,000 in debt Travis had racked up in her name. And there's more, Owen said, his voice dropping. He was a person of interest in the death of one of their ex-husbands. A car accident. Suspicious. Happened just 6 weeks after the divorce filing. A man who'd driven the same cliffside road every day for 20 years suddenly went off it. No charges ever filed. But the smell around it was thick. The weight of it settled heavy in my gut. My phone rang again, Marissa's number. I let it ring out to voicemail. Owen tapped the speaker button. You'll want to hear this, he said. Marissa's voice came through, shaky, choked with fake tears. Nick, please. I need you to call the bank. There's been a misunderstanding. I was just moving some money to a safer investment, like we talked about. The bank froze everything. I can't access anything. Please, Nick, I'm scared. Please call them. A month ago, I might have believed her. Now it just sounded rehearsed. She's desperate, Marcus said later that afternoon as we met him for lunch. The house closing on the Gold Coast is in 5 days. They need that money, and fast. What's our move? I asked. Marcus grinned. The emergency hearing is this afternoon. Judge Clarkson's presiding. She's notorious for hating fake domestic violence claims. We have your mining site alibi, your work records, passport logs airtight. And the bank funds? We've filed to have them released back to you exclusively. But there's more, Marcus said, sliding a folder across. Inside were photographs. My neighbor Harold had sent them that morning. Images of movers loading our furniture onto a truck. Family heirlooms. furniture I'd built. Memories they were trying to vanish with. They're clearing the house, Marcus confirmed. Planning to disappear whether they get the bank funds or not. I closed the folder and handed it back across the table. Change of plans, I said. Both Owen and Marcus looked at me, eyebrows raised. I want to go home. That's not advisable, Marcus started carefully. Not to confront them, I clarified. To watch. From Harold's place. I want to see it happen with my own eyes. Owen and Marcus exchanged a glance the kind men share when they know something serious is about to go down. And, I added, voice firm. I want to be there when they're served. Not hiding behind paperwork. I leaned forward. I want Marissa to see my face, when her world falls apart. Marcus nodded slowly. I'll arrange it. As we left the cafe, my burner phone buzzed. Text from Harold. They're packing your grandfather's desk now. The one you restored. Thought you'd want to know. Some thefts go deeper than money. Some betrayals cut straight through the bone. The 6-hour drive north to Darwin gave me plenty of time to think. Marcus coordinated with the local sheriff. Papers would be served at 9 sharp the next morning. Owen set up discreet surveillance gear from Harold's house across the road, where I'd stay overnight. Everything was lined up. Harold met me at the door just past midnight, no words, just a firm handshake. Old school. He'd spent 30 years working rigs himself, no explanations needed between men like us. She doesn't know you're here? I asked as we stepped inside. Not a clue, Harold said. They've been busy all day packing up everything valuable, leaving the rest. He pointed toward the front window, a perfect line of sight straight to my old driveway. 2 moving trucks already came. Big one's coming tomorrow morning for the final load. I nodded. Processing. Quiet rage building. Anyone else stop by? I asked. Some woman with a clipboard yesterday looked like a real estate agent. I frowned. They're selling the house? Looks that way, Harold said. She was snapping pictures. I called Marcus immediately. He promised to pull property records first thing in the morning. At 3 a.m., restless, I sat at Harold's kitchen table, papers spread out around me, Owen's full dossier. Bank records showing Marissa bleeding our accounts dry. Phone logs connecting her to Travis for over a year. Hotel bills in Darwin on weekends she claimed to be visiting her sister. It wasn't just betrayal. It was surgical. Calculated. By sunrise, a text from Marcus lit up my phone. Confirmed. Marissa had listed our house with a real estate agency just 2 days earlier. The asking price was 30% below market, clearly priced for a fast sale. She'd forged my signature on the listing agreement, of course. At 8:30 a.m., I sat at Harold's kitchen window, coffee cooling in my hand, watching. Marissa and Travis loaded the last of the small valuables into Travis's black Audi, things easy to move, easy to disappear with. My grandmother's silver picture frames. The antique wristwatch my father had given me before he died. At exactly 8:45 a.m., the big moving truck arrived. 3 men jumped out and headed toward the house, right on schedule. At 8:55 a.m., an unmarked police car pulled up behind the moving truck, boxing it in. 2 sheriff's deputies stepped out, along with a woman in a dark suit a court officer Marcus had arranged. It's time, I said to Harold quietly. I crossed the street just as the deputies approached my front door. Marissa opened it. Her irritation at being interrupted flickered into confusion when she saw the uniforms. Mrs. Sanders, the deputy said, firm but polite. We have paperwork to serve you and the gentleman inside. I stayed just out of sight, standing near the edge of the driveway, watching the blood drain from her face. She turned and called for Travis, who came swaggering out, slinging an arm around her casually. That's when I stepped forward into view. Marissa froze. Her face morphed confusion into fear, then calculation. Travis looked completely lost. Nick, she whispered. You're supposed to be at the mine. Surprise, I said, low and even. I nodded to the deputies. The court officer began handing over the thick pile of documents. Emergency restraining orders. Freezing of all accounts. Criminal complaint for forgery. Nullification of the home sale. Divorce proceedings citing fraud and criminal conspiracy. "You can't do this," Travis blurted out, puffing himself up. "She's scared of you. There's a domestic violence claim." "Dismissed this morning by Judge Clarkson," I said smoothly. "Turns out it's hard to abuse someone from 12,000 kilometers away. The judge also had some strong words about your text messages, the ones about my life insurance policy." Travis's mouth fell open. Marissa surged forward, tears welling. "Nick, please, it's all a misunderstanding." "Saving our documents?" I said, pointing at the moving truck. "Protecting our assets by emptying the house? Selling it behind my back?" She had no answer. Only shame. Only fear. "You have 30 minutes to gather personal items only," the court officer said sharply. "Clothing, toiletries, everything else stays for court inventory." As they slinked inside under escort, I turned away. "Where are you going?" Marissa called weakly after me. I didn't look back. "Home," I said. The court hearing came 3 weeks later. I sat at one table with Marcus. Across from us, Marissa and her lawyer fidgeted at another. Travis Blake was nowhere to be seen. He'd disappeared 2 days after the papers were served, taking what little cash and jewelry Marissa had left. Exactly the pattern Owen had uncovered. Use, drain, vanish. Simple. Ruthless. Effective. Judge Clarkson reviewed the evidence slowly and methodically. Bank transfers. Forged signatures. Cloud-synced text messages. GPS logs from my worksite. When she reached the messages about Plan B, the one involving my life insurance policy, she set the documents down and fixed her eyes on Marissa. "Mrs. Sanders," she said coldly. "Are you aware of the penalties associated with conspiracy to commit insurance fraud?" Marissa's lawyer leaned in, whispering fiercely into her ear. Marissa stammered, voice cracking. "It wasn't like that, Your Honor." Travis was joking. Two never would have. "Save it for the criminal proceedings," Judge Clarkson cut her off, tone icy. "This court's concern is the division of marital assets and the dissolution of marriage." She resumed reading, shaking her head in disbelief more than once. When she finished, she removed her glasses and laid them on the bench. "In my 30 years on the bench," she said, "I have rarely encountered such a deliberate, premeditated campaign of financial deception within a marriage." She stared straight at Marissa. "You systematically siphoned marital funds, forged legally binding documents, and attempted to abscond with nearly all shared assets." Then the judge turned to me. Her voice softened slightly. "Mr. Sanders, while the establishment of Winterlight Holdings might appear unconventional to some, the evidence clearly shows that you fulfilled all household financial responsibilities, paid all necessary taxes, and made no attempt to hide income from authorities only to secure it from potential unjust claims." Her ruling was swift. Everything Marissa had stolen would be returned to me. The house remained solely under my name. Marissa's claim for spousal support? Flatly denied. And the cherry on top. The judge referred all forgery and conspiracy evidence to the district attorney for criminal charges. As we walked out of court, Marissa tried to approach me, maybe to explain, maybe to beg. I didn't slow down. Some victories don't need words. 6 months later, I leaned against the rail of my new cabin outside Cairns, Queensland, 40 untouched acres of rainforest and rolling hills I'd bought quietly through Winterlight Holdings years ago. Marissa had never known it existed. Last I heard, she was working a retail job in Darwin, living with her sister. Travis? Already charming, a newly divorced physiotherapist in Perth. Same story. Different victim. I'd taken early retirement from the mining company. 26 years underground was enough. Between the investments through Winterlight Holdings, my savings, and small royalties from an old bauxite lease up near Weipa, I had more than enough to live the rest of my life in comfort. Harold would call sometimes, giving updates from Darwin. I'd sold the house there, too many memories, none of them good anymore. Harold had helped clear out the last of my belongings, shipping the family heirlooms to my cabin near Cairns, donating the rest to charity. One chapter ended, another quietly beginning. That afternoon, the mail brought a thick envelope from Owen. Inside was the final paperwork, dissolution of Winterlight Holdings. Its purpose was finished. Assets transferred. Taxes settled. No loose ends. No unfinished business. As the sun dipped behind the lush mountains, I poured a glass of single malt and settled onto the porch swing I'd built with my own 2 hands earlier that year. For the first time in what felt like forever, no one expected anything from me. No supervisors needing reports. No crews waiting for instructions. No wife pretending she missed me while bleeding me dry behind my back. Just the warm breeze rustling the tall gum trees. Just the steady hum of life, honest and simple. My phone buzzed. A number from Perth. A new project manager for a mining consultancy over in Western Australia. They were offering a part-time advisory role, big money, minimal travel, just lending the expertise I'd racked up over a lifetime. I'll think about it, I said, meaning it. But not tonight. Tonight was for me. For the hard-earned peace no one could steal. For the life I finally owned, built with sweat, patience, and a lesson carved deep into my bones. Trust yourself first. Guard what matters. And when the storm comes, stand your ground. I sipped my bourbon, watching the last light fade from the sky. The past was over. The future? Wide open. If you've made it this far, mate, thanks for walking through this journey with me. It wasn't easy telling this story, admitting how close I came to losing everything I worked my whole life to build. But I want to hear from you now. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've ever had to rebuild after everything fell apart, drop a comment below. Tell me your story. I'll be reading every single one, because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that none of us have to walk through the fire alone. If you want to show your support, hit that like button, not for me, but for every man who's had to claw his way back from nothing with his own 2 hands. And if you believe in standing your ground, protecting what's yours, and living life on your own terms, smash that subscribe button too. This isn't just about my story. It's about all of us learning to guard our peace, to choose loyalty carefully, and to never apologize for fighting for our lives. My advice to any man watching this? Never put your full trust in someone who wouldn't cross a desert for you. Always have a plan. Protect yourself, quietly and legally. And no matter how hard it gets, never let betrayal define you. Use it as fuel. Build a life so solid that no one can tear it down behind your back. I found peace in the end. You can too. And if you're still fighting your battle, remember this: you're stronger than you think. Much stronger than they ever expected. I'm Nick Sanders, and this time, I'm finally living life on my terms.